Here are 5 macro trends that technology leaders need to be aware of in 2026. You know that playbook from the last decade? Throw it out the window. Now, disclaimer, before I move on, this information does reflect the technical reality as of January 2026. And in this industry, the shelf life of information is measured in weeks, not months. So any advice, tool, or benchmark mentioned here may have already evolved or been replaced by the time you listen to this. The death of SaaS, software as a service. What used to be known as the buy versus build has now inverted to build versus buy. Bizarre, says all the software lovers out there, custom software that is. Agentic workflows are now ready for the enterprise context, demonstrating speed improvements of up to 60 times. That's even what we've seen in our own experience. The rise of Agentic AI and even AI-assisted development, which was so 2025, it's now cheaper to custom build your own software, and with only the features that you need, so you can get rid of that feature bloat that really only serves a bunch of confusion and very expensive prices. Now you can get your data back under your control and ownership and on local soil. And who really needed that clumsy UI to complete their tasks, huh? Because can't we just prompt an agent to do that now? So with that, I'll leave you to ponder the death of the user interface. Right now, SaaS providers, especially the big players, are scrambling to lock in their customers for multi-year deals as they can see the writing on their wall. Just have a look to the share prices of these public SaaS companies. Trend, deglobalisation and sovereignty. The great world power struggle between the US and the world, or China, depending on which way you look at it, is impacting technology choices between SaaS, cloud hosting, and security posture in general of just wherever your digital assets or data does live, and who ultimately has the control over them. And when we say control, well, the worst case scenario is when they've got control is the kill switch. And in June 2025, we did witness a digital hard cut in Southeast Asia when Thailand's regulator ordered telcos to sever internet links to Cambodia right before I went there on holiday. Trend. From software developer to AI orchestrator, we are witnessing a fundamental change in the evolution of software development. While AI accelerates every technical field and white-collared work, software development is moving at a velocity that other industries just cannot match. Some attribute this to the race to AGI. However, in the race to provide the best frontier AI model and its service, it is a strategic imperative for them to move faster, right? Move faster than their competitors. Think of Anthropic and its competition with other rivals like OpenAI. Its developers explicitly use Claude to code Claude so that Claude can write Claude faster than its competitors, especially to be first to market, or first to AGI, if that's what you believe in. With all the competition accelerating the way software is written, this makes way for a new type of engineer. And yes, I said engineer over developer. An engineering mindset is different to that of a developer mindset. Less concerned about building the steel and bolts that make the bridge, more about how all the parts come together to make the structural whole. Combined with skilled digital hands like Claude, this makes way for a new type of thinker. A thinker who can wield their AI swarms, or AI minions as we like to call them, to creatively solve problems. But beware, AI rises to the competence of the prompter. AI skill is still that of a PhD level junior. Just because you've got all of that knowledge doesn't mean you know what to do with it. So you can still make a right big mess, especially ones laden with performance and security issues. And we of course look forward to helping cleaning some of those messes up. From cloud first to cloud we're right, cloud smart, and many other names it seems to go by. But this last decade had been rife with the term cloud first. Shut down your data centers, move everything over to AWS, Azure, or GCP. And the premise was simple. Scale up and down when you needed it, You don't need to employ as many people to make it all work, and just overall, things will be much, much, much cheaper. Turns out that wasn't quite the case for a lot of people. Take 37 Signals, who own Basecamp, a SaaS project managed software, so many people in the industry would recognize that. They bucked the trend and moved away from cloud, signaling that an organization of their size and many mid-sized organizations would actually save more money, moving back to on-prem. By late 2024, they confirmed they were on track to save $10 million over 5 years. The other side of the cloud move is around sovereignty of your data. Even if you used a cloud provider locally to Australia, the US Cloud Act means if the US deems it so, they can order the US-based company to hand over that data. Europe are obviously very aware and very annoyed at that, as was evident at Web Summit hosted in Lisbon last year, where sovereignty and open source anything, or basically anything but US, was the trend. Which leads me to open source models and small language models, SLMs, and of course, sovereignty again. So DeepSeek, coming out with their open source model, hit the headlines around the world, waking a lot of people up to the fact that there are alternative options to the frontier models that could be just as good, if not better. So the strategic advantage in all of this is that you can now have specialized small language models that you can train, that you can host, that you can have complete control over. The speed is unmatched and the cost is a fraction. Even the training of these models can be done at the lightning speed of Agentic AI, making the cost efficiency of this mind-boggling. AT&T, in one of their recent use cases, saw migrating some of their analytics workflows over to Mistral, I've never said that out loud, slash their call center processing times by 84%, which you're probably thinking, yeah, I've heard this before. People making these sort of performance improvements. But they did that at a reduction of a cost compared to using a frontier model, a reduction of 90%. Because a model doesn't ultimately need to know the capital of Australia to recognize a billing complaint. So the bottom line in all of this, custom software, small language models, and data hosting has never been cheaper and of such high quality. So 2026 is shaping out to be a very interesting year, where the only thing that now hinders an organization to make use of any of this is their agility and speed to adapt to the change.